All right, folks, back at the workspace. Sort of an impasse right now in terms of what do I do next. I know I have a general idea of what I want to do next, but I'm just kind of trying to figure out the exact details of what needs to be done. It's come down to where do I want to start. I feel like I've hit the point where I'm overwhelmed again. But I know once I break past that point, things will start to take off and speed up and get a lot better. Let's get to it. Okay, I'm getting closer. So just finished measuring, stripping the furring strip. Actually, this piece was a test piece. And I wanted this, which is 1.5 to 1/2 inch. And I couldn't find it at the store, so the closest I came was 1.5 to, I think this is 1 inch. 3/4 of an inch. So it's a 1/4 of an inch. This is a 1/4 of an inch thicker than the actual piece I was looking for. This was my scribing tool that I had made. I found this scrap somewhere, and this is the closest I can come to it when I went to Home Depot. So what I've determined is this is going to work out perfectly, actually. So the transition between this half, sorry for blasting you with my headlamp, the transition between this half and the forward half of the ceiling, there's maybe going to be 1/8 or, you know, not even 1/8 actually, 1/16 or 2/16 of an inch transition, where I could certainly try and get it on the spot, but 1/16 or 2/16, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not going to be that visible to the naked eye when you look at the ceiling once it's done. So I'm going to get as close as I can, and that's where it's going to be. I'm going to be happy with that. So I figured that out. Check. Next step is I think putting the furring strips, or planning out the furring strips on the side. I've determined that is what I was going to do. I've seen people with this type of van, because of the curvature of the van, actually get the panel and drill right into the metal itself. And you know, it may even it'll give you definitely close to 2 inches of extra space. But that's not my concern here. I've got some things protruding from the wall, like this right here. If you can see that, it's just a piece of metal coming out of the wall in certain areas. So the wall is not totally flat. So I think putting furring strips is going to give me, I'm definitely going to lose maybe a couple inches or so. At most 2 inches of wall space. Not too concerned about it. It's going to have a flush wall. And the furring strip is going to give me the opportunity to mount some things to it as well too. I know I want to put a 12-volt power supply on this side with USB. I want to mount a reading lamp on this side too, and maybe even a small, like little tiny bookshelf where I can, you know, with that USB connection, I can put a phone in the bookshelf or anything that I want to power up and charge. I think having furring strips is a solution here. I was debating that when I first got back to the workshop here, and it's been determined. So check, 2 things checked off the list. And I haven't determined if now the third check, or I haven't even checked it off yet, but the third item that I'm considering right now that I've had those 2 things off the list, is should I carpet first and then put the furring strip over the carpet? And that's where I'm at. I'm thinking that's going to be the case. Just so, as I say, when the paneling goes in, there's no gaps in terms of bare metal. So when the paneling lays down on the wall, if there is some transition, it'll just be carpet and not metal, bare metal. All right, folks, let me share a little bit about what I'm trying to accomplish here. I've determined that probably a good majority of this day is just going to be planning, because again, I've hit an impasse. I know what I need to do next, but there's certain details that I haven't quite worked out in my mind yet. Yeah, on paper, yeah, I've got things down, but it just doesn't correlate to all the different nooks and crannies and different sections where things may measure out differently within the van itself. So I'm at that point now where I'm just trying to figure it out. And what I'm trying to figure out right now is how the ceiling's going to lay. So what I'm thinking, I already had planned to put some furring strips up. This is about 1.5 half-inch furring strip that I'm going to put up in spots where, you know, where the ceiling drops down. Not so. This is weird. So the ceiling, the actual ceiling is, you know, right here, of course. But on the side of the panel, you know, you've got all kind of braces and support. So I can't go directly up to the ceiling, and I don't want to. So there's about an inch hang here, a lip. And where I could put this, you know, is at that point where it's an inch lower than the ceiling. 2.5 inches is what I've determined is how low the ceiling is going to hang all the way around the van. Now, again, there's a transition in the doorpost here where it comes down maybe 1/2 inch more lower. So I don't know if I have to rip these about 1/2 inch. I'm trying to figure that out now. I hope I don't. But even as I was trying to figure out the measurement over that doorpost there, in terms of how low it's going to hang, I was, you know, I had the ruler there, and I was trying to figure out, well, how far does it come down from the, you know, from where I can actually mount this over that post. What am I dealing with? You know, is it more than 2.5 inches, or, you know, can I kind of manipulate it so it can be 2.5 inches? So I had this, you know, in the ruler, and I was holding it, and it was very awkward. And as I pulled away to try and put my finger where the ruler was, where it lay, this thing flipped around and dropped right into my lap in the arrow. It didn't fall very hard or fast, but it didn't take much, and caused some pain in the area of the jewels, if you know what I mean. But I've recovered, and going back to it. So this is what I'm trying to figure out here, and we'll see if it works. All right, done with my contemplation. So I've come to the conclusion that, yeah, I'm going to put a strip of carpet in the strategic areas there, because I'm not sure how things are going to line up. I think I may have a 1/2 inch to 1 inch gap where the panel meets the ceiling, but I'm not sure. I think I can get close and maybe eliminate that gap, but just in case, I'm just going to go ahead and lay the carpet out. So here's the carpet I decided to go with. Nice gray, supposedly stretch carpet from Amazon. So, I don't know. Oh yeah. It's got a little bit of flexibility to it. Nice. So this is what I'm going to use. Never done anything like this. Again, of course, this whole build has been some things I've never done before. So what's stopping me? Let's venture on. Let's make it happen. So what I have to do is put these panels back in here. I got to find the hardware that I had that I took out, which I'm struggling to find right now. I may have to go back to the apartment and see if I put them there. But I'm going to continue to look. But I want to put the panels back in here now that I have the insulation in, and then this will be my start in terms of carpeting. Yeah. I don't want to start today. I'm really struggling with getting some things done today. It's a beautiful Saturday out. Would prefer to be on my road bike right now, doing some riding. And it may come down to that. I'm certainly going to give this a try. If I can't find this hardware and I have to go back to the apartment, I'm gonna take a long break and go for a long road ride. Yeah. All right, onward. Again. Okay, this is my first foray into carpet laying in a van. Kind of went overboard in terms of laying it out. Just per chance, there is that gap between the carpet and the panel that I'm putting in, so it'd be a nice transition. So just to show, it is, I just laid it in there. Again, I may trim up those little areas there. But for the most part, I don't even really think I have to trim. I was going to cut that excess on the bottom there, but I don't think I have to because there's going to be furring strips there, and again, there's going to be a panel there, so it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just, again, should there be somewhat of a gap, there's going to be a consistent look in terms of carpet. So what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to, for consistency's sake, for these panels, I'm going to actually do the material that I've decided for the wall panels here. I'm going to do the same for this here. Underneath that material is going to be a little bit of foam underlayment as well too. So what I'm going to do is once I have the material laid on, I'll just poke a little hole in there, and then I'll mount those little pieces on the outside as opposed to on the inside, which I thought I was initially going to do. I was going to put it on the inside and just cover it over with the upholstery. But that's not going to make sense. If you needed to access this area, you'd have to actually tear the upholstery apart. So it's going to look nice because those buttons are black, so it stays with the motif of the van itself and the gray and black, what I'm doing in the van in terms of interior colors. So I'm excited about that. Good. I just found that as I found the pieces and I was putting it back in, I'm like, well, why don't I just do it that way? The way that I didn't think, but now that I've thought about it, it's going to be perfect.